a bit of a confession. I recorded a Joy Anyway video last week, edited it and everything, and then I didn't post it. And I'm going to tell you why. But before I do, I'm your girl, Kelly Howard Jew, and this video is sponsored by Messing Around, a nonprofit centered on empowering individuals with autoimmune disease to find more joy and ease. Yes, I recorded a video. I did the whole 9 yards, and then I didn't post it. And the reason being is because I found myself going down a rabbit hole as I looked up the title Joy Anyway, and I found out that there's a book out here called Joyful Anyway by a New York Times bestselling author. And that got in my head about the name of Joy Anyway and how that is kind of stepping on her joyful anyway, and I started to really overthink the name of Joy Anyway. Then I was like, you know what, I can't post a video about Joy Anyway because I'm going to eventually change the title anyway, so why would I post it? And then that right there, that thought right there is exactly what we do to block joy. That's what we do. We find reasons and excuses to not do the things that bring us love because we're going to do something different in the future anyway. And I am here to tell you in this video that you have to find the joy anyway, even if you're going to change the name eventually. It is a procrastination tool that has been, I guess, placed in our brain or in our psyche for protection reasons, right? To save us from doing things that may cause us future harm. But the reality is, a lot of the times, the things that we're so nervous about or we're so fearful about is not actually going to cause us any kind of harm anyway. If anything, it'll just cause a little confusion for the audience or the people that we're talking to, but it's not going to cause us real harm. And if it is, then that's something to really consider. But in this particular case, right, the name Joy Anyway is one that I can change in the future and say, hey guys, I'm starting a new term called Joy Anyway, and it's gonna be here, or Joy Again, or whatever, right? It doesn't have to be that complicated. Then I started to also overthink the fact that this is on my personal YouTube channel. I'm a stand-up comedian, actress, have been for quite some time, and most of the work that is here on this channel centers around that, kinda. I used to also do a series, a YouTube series and a podcast called Be Less Petty, which was all about being less petty with our time, space, and energy. That is also on this channel. But because I'm a nonprofit, or I have a nonprofit now, and a lot of these videos are sponsored by said nonprofit, I wanted to make sure that that channel lived in its own world. And now that I have a Google account, I'm setting up a YouTube, and I'm going to put a lot of these videos there under the Messing Around. So that was another way of convincing myself that I should wait, because I don't want to have to move these videos or put these videos over here or put these videos over there. And let me tell you, that is Procrastination Patty showing up again. That is exactly what that is. That is us finding ways to not do the thing that brings us joy. So what are you joy blocking in your life? What is something that you have been wanting to do? What is a pivot you've been wanting to take? Things that you've always been excited about, but for whatever reason, you find a list of excuses to why you can't do it. I know for me, if you look on this channel, the one that we're currently on, the Kelly Howard channel, if you go back in the history, I've done videos about being less petty with our time, space, and energy for years. I started it back when my locks were like this short. I just reached 10 years in my locks. So that goes to tell you how much I've kind of been in this information space of wellness and mental health, and trying to convince ourselves that we are worthy. We can have joy every day. And it's more convincing me than it's convincing you. But in the process of us learning, we tend to teach. That's like proven that most people that are trying to learn that very thing is teaching that very thing. And so that's what I was doing on this channel. And I've been wanting to pivot in the direction of more keynote speaking and more teaching. I used to host a workshop called Be Less Petty Workshop. I dipped around to different colleges, gave them completion certificates and everything. I had a whole thing planned out. But because I was known as a comedian, I found myself limiting how much I wanted to really dip my toe in that space, because I was like, well, people think I'm supposed to be funny, so if I'm doing these workshops and I don't say funny things all the time, and I only say one or two things that's funny during the workshop, then they're not gonna want to do it. They're not gonna want to be here. And that is, again, Procrastination Patty coming up, trying to stop me from doing the thing that brings me the most joy. And so I'm asking you, what is that thing? What is that thing that you've been wanting to do, that you have wanted to put out there, that you've wanted to create, right? Do you want to hand stitch baby hats? Is that something you've always wanted to do, but nobody's ever really seen your hand stitching, and so you don't want to put that out there and think that you're going to be judged for it? Guess what? The world is going to judge you no matter what, whether you put it out or you don't. They're going to judge you for something. So where in your life have you been limiting places that bring you joy for the sake of whatever reason, right? Whatever your list might look like. I know that my list can get real long. I can start creating all the well, if I get the YouTube channel up, and then I get the messing around, and then I start this, I got to make sure that this is over here, and I got to make sure that this is all together first before I put that over there. And it's like, no, I don't actually. I can keep doing these videos and bring joy anyway. And if I come up with a new name, introduce that new name. And that's that. And so I just want to apologize for not putting that video out last week and letting the noise in my own head limit me from just taking action. That is a very reoccurring theme in a lot of creatives' lives, is letting the noise, both outside and inside, stop us from creating and stopping us from putting the stuff out. But the creation is in the ether. And if we don't do it, somebody else will. It's just what it is. So if we have an idea, if we have a thought, if we have an interesting thing we want to make, do it. Just do it. Because for no other reason than it brings us joy. And that is the whole point, is joy. Joy anyway. So yes, this is, well, technically episode 10, but I'm going to call it episode 9 because I didn't put that video out last week. So this is episode 9/10 of Joy Anyway. I will eventually come up with a new name for this because I want to make sure it is very exclusive and unique to us in this community, this warrior community, us autoimmunity community survivors and thrivers. Let's be clear, we're not just out here surviving, baby. We are thriving. So I will come up with a new name eventually. But until then, we're going to do this joy anyway. Okay? That's what we're going to do. Also, just a few heads up, like I said, we will be starting our own Messing Around YouTube channel. And so I will share that information when it's actually up and running, and then you guys can hop on over and follow that. The IFAC workshop is in 5 days. Wait, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 4 days. It's in 4 days. Yes. IFAC, Improv for Advocacy and Confidence, is in 4 days. I was just on WGN Chicago talking about it. It brings me so much joy to talk about how we can advocate for ourselves through games and through play. This stuff really does rewire the brain in a real way. And so, yeah, we're going to have some fun. If you haven't signed up already, we do have a waiting list. So you can go on the website right now at mssingaround.org and make sure you put your name on the waiting list. So if a slot becomes available, you will be able to attend. And I'm just really excited about this work. I'm really excited about it. I've been wanting to pivot in this direction where I am sharing my years of me doing therapies, EMDR, ayahuasca, hypnotherapy, Reiki, just so Vipassana, 10-day silent meditation retreats, right? Writing every day, all of these things, meditating every day, all of these things lend to my joy. And I want to share that. And so I'm allowing myself that pivot. Yes, I am a stand-up comedian. Yes, I am known for comedy, but I am so much bigger than just comedy, and I cannot let Procrastination Patty, all that. I can't let her get in my head and stop me from doing the work that brings me joy, because that's what it is all about. Joy anyway, having it anyway. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm your girl, Kelly Howard Jew. Remember that you should have joy anyway. And think about that. Think about that. What is that thing? What is that thing that you want to create? What is that thing? And if you have an idea of something you want to create and you want to share it, please do email me at joyfulemails@msingaround.org. Email me. I would love to hear about your idea. All right. I'm your girl, Kelly Howard Jew, and I'll see you here for episode 11, 12, 10, 11, 10. Let's just say 10. I'll see you here for episode 10 next week. Bye.